Steele with Live the Enlightened Lifestyle, and today is May 13th, 2013. And we're going to have with us today Jody Troop and Susan Denham with the Swissindo. And also India is going to be with us in the background. That's the little logo you see there. And she's gonna help us out with some notes in chat. But what I want to tell you real quick first, there's a website you can go to for the UN Swissindo. So while we're talking today, after this is done, you guys can go there and check it out. It's called swissindo.news. Is that right, ladies?
Yes.
Okay, so SWISSINDO.news. Go to that site, that website, and check it out. There you go. India Murkerson put it in the chat for you. Also, I want to tell you guys about Live the Enlightened Lifestyle, the webinars I bring to you free. And we try to bring you anything that has to do with enlightenment. So it's about living the enlightened lifestyle. It's a lifestyle change, just being a better person, thinking different, eating different, exercising, treating people different, thinking from love and doing things with good intentions for you and the world. So, and the earth. You can go to YouTube, please, and search Live the Enlightened Lifestyle. And I'll put a link in there for you real quick in the chat. So go to YouTube. The folks that can't see this, watching this video right now at a later date, you're not going to be able to see our chat. So those of you in the chat, there's my link. And those of you that are watching this on a recorded video on or off of YouTube, Facebook, or anything like that, just go to YouTube and search Live the Enlightened Lifestyle. And you can see all of our videos there for the UN Swissindo, for my personal videos I put out there for lifestyle coaching and enlightenment. Also, I have a Facebook group, and just search on Facebook, Live the Enlightened Lifestyle. I also have a Live the Enlightened Lifestyle page. And I use all those forms of social media to try to get my word out and everyone else's word out with who's in the enlightenment arena, like UN Swissindo. Also, I'm going to, I do a lot of work, and I don't charge any fees like a lot of folks do for any kind of coaching and my enlightenment webinars. So from time to time, you'll see today that'll pop up in the chat a donation link that basically friends talked me into doing. So and people like to donate to me, and I really appreciate those of you that donated 2 weeks ago during one of these webinars. Thank you very much. I sent you personal messages. I hope you received those. And that link is paypal.me/Ron Steele, RONSTEELE. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with our webinar today. So it's about the UN Swissindo, some debt relief, and some monthly income for the future, basic income, some people call it, the DBLC. So why don't who wants to go ahead and lead us into this and get started? Jody or Susan? One of you guys take it away.
Yeah, I was going to start with a recap of the last show that we did. Those people who attended before probably remember we had some audio issues, and so there was some information that dropped out. But at least to get us up to speed for this show, because we want to focus on two things that are live, let's say specifically live, that people they're actionable items now. But we want people to understand what Swissindo is. And I put together a PowerPoint just to cover some points and give some people a little bit of background. If you want to know more, I highly recommend the website. There's a ton of information there. But also watch the one from, what was it, April 29th, I think, that show, because there is more detail about what I'm going to just kind of gloss over today. So I'm gonna try the screen share then. Let's see. 1 second. Great.
Yes, screen is showing and your voice is your audio is working. So if you will go ahead and start with the presentation.
Okay, we are here to talk about un-swissindo. This is, let's see, I have to get to the PDF. A mission from the United Nations. We're all participants in this mission. And what I wanted to start with this time, as I did last time, was discussing the raising of consciousness prior to getting into Swissindo, because this is really an integral part of the entire, of the whole concept. And I tried to define raising consciousness really simply, because there are a lot of people have their own ways of understanding it. But very simply, we're currently in 3D, moving to 5D. And so 3D, you can think of it as the power struggles that we've lived in for millennia. Now, the rewards and punishments, haves, have-nots, you know, rich, poor, et cetera, and that has pretty much defined our experience in this lifetime. But moving to 5D is actually a transition to unity consciousness, where all are equal, and rather than measuring everything that we do based on money, because that's really how everything operates here, we're shifting to a value-based system where everyone is equal, and honestly, money will not be the focus. So we will talk about money here, and that's what Swissindo is bringing out in abundance, but it's really a bridge to something different that is not focused on money. So if anyone's concerned about this tremendous amount of money coming out and what that will do, this is really to help shift things away from money, but this is sort of a bridge to get there. So the 5D unity consciousness, which we're moving towards, if you also want to imagine this as now being what operates for all organizations, you would ensure that the rights of others are equal to your own. And we know that that's something that's been sort of held up as an ideal in 3D, but we've definitely seen it not operating. And it is possible to have that, let's call it the operating method for government or for any organization. And we just haven't really had any examples here to look toward. So I would encourage everybody to consider what this might look like, because that's actually what we're moving towards. So this, in addition to ensuring the rights of others equal to our own, humanity, we're also moving towards protecting the rights of those without a voice, animals, forests, and rivers. And we're all aware of people who are already doing this. So what I would like to encourage people to recognize is we actually have 3D and 5D living concurrently. They can coexist, but it's really the framework of how people look at things. So you may know some people who are more oriented to the rewards and punishment concept only because they haven't had enough exposure, or maybe they don't have models of what the unity consciousness can be. So it's really about modeling for other people what the 5D consciousness is all about. We are all part of a system. No part can be perceived as less. So it's really about that type of a consciousness. And so at the bottom, how do we achieve equality for all? That's why un-swissindo is here. The mission, Swissindo World Trust International Orbit, aims to free humanity from financial and physical burdens of the slavery systems, reconnecting to nature, back to basics and back to source, creating spiritual awareness and aligning heaven back to earth through payments 1 to 11 implementation. That's $1 quintillion USD, which will be put back into the system in order to help resolve the global crisis. In our last webinar, we weren't really able to speak about M1 very much. We had played a video, which unfortunately, I don't think most of it made it into the replay that's on YouTube because of music that was in it. So I would just like to touch on M1 here. M1 is actually the trustee, or the trustee of the trust.
The video did make it, by the way, just not the sound.
Oh, good, thank you. So what we're talking about here with the mission is a humanitarian trust that the beneficiaries will be all of humanity. And the way this trust is rolling out is in payments 1 to 11. And those all represent different things, but we're not going to go over that right now. I just wanted to touch on M1, who is the trustee of the trust. So he is basically the guardian of the trust and is the one ensuring that this will go out to humanity, the beneficiaries. What you see below his name, HMMRA1, Sino A SS2, IR Suya Hertono Tono Garo, I tried, HWSTM1, is a full title. And although the various different parts mean something, I wanted to inform people that this actually has an energetic to it as well. There are different pieces, like you could actually break the whole name down and there are different meanings for the various different parts, but there is also an energetic behind it. So for those who have been studying spirituality or consciousness, this should make total sense to you. So this is M1 in the photo with the world peace gone. And I'm sorry, I'm just touching on it briefly. There's a lot more information pertaining to M1 too, but hopefully that gives you some idea.
Yes? Touch on briefly, really quick, Jody, so the people that just don't know or understand, when you say energetic, it has an energetic behind it. Can you give just a little more detail on that? On what energetic means to you?
I think there are different ways of approaching the idea of energetics. I know some people talk about a frequency, some might talk about it as an energetic, but you could also talk about this scientifically, because if you have any familiarity with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, the words that you use actually create. So if you can come from any of these perspectives, whether you are already in tune with frequency or energy work, or if you have some knowledge about psychology or NLP related to hypnosis, all of these things are speaking to the same idea. So the words you use actually create, and that is recognized within Swissindo, and that's actually modeled in his title. And so his title had certain pieces which he has very recently retired, because we are now moving into a new era. And I'll just leave it at that for now, I guess. Does that help?
Yes, very much.
Okay. So very quickly, these are some items just to let people understand that there has been quite a bit going on since the mission began. The mission actually goes all the way back to, I don't remember the year, but it was between John F. Kennedy and Soekarno, and I wasn't going to cover that right now either. I just wanted people to understand that the mission started a long time ago. And Soekarno was the first president of Indonesia, and he was the trustee way back then. And so now we're fast forwarding all the way to now, and we are we are going to complete this mission. And these pieces that have been happening, as you see, March 2014 and February 2016, these pieces are being rolled out bit by bit by bit, each one solidifying the ultimate release of the full breadth of payments 1 to 11. So we have this March 2014, Summer, Super Summer. If you do searches on these things, you can find information about them. The Summer Super Summer was an agreement made in Indonesia between M1 and the government of the Lao People's Democratic Republic representatives, and it was witnessed by international un-swissindo officers. The agreement included world debt relief, human obligation, country and bank quotas. This is all listed in payments 1 to 11, which we can also direct you to what the payments are. February 2016, the DBLC was released to the world. This is what we discussed some 2 weeks ago in the prior webinar. And this is also what we're going to discuss today. June 2016, Indonesian Supreme Court ruling. This is actually a signed decree by the Indonesian Supreme Court ruling that Swissindo and the DBLC are both legal and valid. October 2016 is the Acclamasi Akbar, which is also called the Grand Acclamation. That was a huge event in Jakarta, Indonesia. Tens of thousands of Indonesians showed up to listen to M1 as he read this Grand Acclamation. And then as of 2017, there are now Swissindo officers appointed in all 34 provinces of Indonesia. And what we're wanting to get to today also, besides covering again the DBLC, is we have a new announcement, and this is very, very recent. And in fact, everyone here is going to get to hear something that hasn't been announced anywhere else. We're getting it just a little bit before the world gets it, so that's very exciting. But before we get to that,
awesome. We'll be sure to share this video. As a matter of fact, can you turn your sound down just a little bit, Jody, or one of you guys? We're getting feedback from me talking. There we go.
Okay. How's that?
If you guys would please, everybody, in the chat, if you look at the bottom of your screen, for those of you friends and brothers and sisters attending my webinar, you'll see at the bottom there's a share button to share this video, this audio, this webinar on social media. So please do so, because there's some important information that you're hearing today and last week, and you're about to hear that Jody's going to go into. That's a really big step for all of this, coming to fruition. So go ahead, Jody. Sorry.
Okay. Just flipped off the screen. Okay. These are just a couple of the validating documents I wanted to include. I know people always have questions. They're like, how do you know this is real? So the 12 portal document on the left is essentially the document that gives the authority to M1 as the trustee of the humanitarian accounts. And I don't know if you see my cursor, but all of these signatures that are listed at the bottom, the very bottom one is M1's signature. And then the other ones, I think there are 12 there. You would recognize these signatures, but you can find that this is listed in a document called DBLC at a glance. If you go to the Swissindo website, you can look through that document. It'll give you more information, and it'll also cover this 12 portal document. The Mahkamah Agung decree on the right is the signed decree from the Indonesian Supreme Court, which I just mentioned earlier, which declares valid and legal both Swissindo and the DBLC, which is a debt relief document. So we will move to this last page. This is the DBLC on the left. We spoke about it a bit in our last seminar, but because of the audio problems, we really want to get into this today. And we have new news just as of a couple days ago, but I am going to let Susan take this away. So let me get out of my screen share real quick so I don't do something to the audio.
That's a great PowerPoint, by the way, Jody. I appreciate what you did there, all the work. I'm looking forward to more.
I'm so sorry. Do I mess up other people's audio when I do the screen share? Because it messes up for me.
No. Okay. Don't even worry about it. This is what it's made to do. So you're doing everything right.
So now I guess I forgot. I will screen share for that. Susan, do you have the document? I'm going to screen share it so people can see it.
Not screen share it because it's cutting out my audio.
Okay.
Whenever this.
Okay. Then I guess do you have it to read?
I do, and this is a press release, and it is dated Monday, which hasn't happened yet. Monday.
Yoo-hoo!
So it's a media release. Swissindo announces the release of the human obligation M1 voucher. Basic income is coming to Indonesia. A new world financial system is here. Cheer upon Java, Indonesia, the 15th of May, 2017. That's Monday when the papers and stuff will receive this.
I don't see Susan, by the way. Do you, Jody?
I do, and I hear her.
Okay.
It's okay for me.
Okay, well.
Okay,
my
the M1 voucher, which guarantees lifetime basic income to the Indonesian people, was released in Indonesia on the 9th of May, 2017. Basic income is a part of the comprehensive mission of payments 1 through 11 and is launching from the lighthouse of the world, the Republic of Indonesia. This noble and historic M1 voucher as part of payments 1 through 11 is the only world solution gift offer designed to free all of humanity, provide for a guaranteed basic income for life to all, fund humanitarian projects, build the Venus Project on each continent, launch natural creativity, restore human dignity, and bridge heaven and earth. This mission was architected by un-swissindo's King of Kings, Royal Key 681, His Majesty, MR-A1 Sino AS S2 IR Soekarno Tonegoro, HWST M1, or Mr. Sugi. This human obligation, now launching, is granted to over 7.5 billion people on 5 continents. And each is entitled to $6 million US per person or lifetime, which will create basic income and financial security, which will lift humanity from the depths of survival mode so that humanity can begin to enjoy life. The M1 voucher for monthly basic income of $1,200 US for adults in Indonesia aged 17 years and up with proper identification.
Hey, Susan,
has been released. Sir?
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm reading the chat for you guys, just kind of making sure everything's going smooth. Someone asked if you could just read a little bit slower so they can. Your beautiful radio voice is awesomely fast too. So they just asked if you could read slower so they could keep up. Sorry.
Oh, let me slow down a little bit. Okay, we're at the good part now anyway.
Okay.
The people are soon to follow will be the $600 per month for students from the first year of primary school to age 17. And finally, and it's a different payment, funds will be available for those who wish to buy or build a home and fund your own business, and there are no strings attached. The people are waiting the Republic of Indonesia's government partnership for the smoothest information with participating banks. What is required to receive the benefits of this historic program rolling out for the citizenry of the Republic of Indonesia is a copy of the M1 voucher and a legal form of ID. In Indonesia, they use the eKTP card, and that's all they need, and they'll need a passport-size photo to receive the basic income. un-swissindo has made tremendous progress, and all documentation and historical records held in the microfilm code 99.98 Board Association of International Document and the FLO under M1's single authority is of the highest legal validity. Woo! All right, let me scroll down so I can read the rest. That's a lot of words, y'all. Due to the grand acclamation made on 16th of October 2016 by the Royal K681, which is King, number 681, King of Kings, His Majesty, MR-A1-S2-IR, Sogi Hartono Tono Goro, HWST-M1, all that was announced publicly is legally finalized, including the joint decree with the Mahkamah Agung, which is the Supreme Court Justice of Indonesia, the SPRIN number UN 81704/009 M1 on the 24th of June 2016, and un-swissindo as country and nation higher than the highest institution. In Indonesia, we have seen the debt burden liberation program being completed by totaling all the debts of the people, civil servants, military, and police, and offset against several infinite ASBLP accounts audited by the World Bank and verified by the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, that is the UN-DISA document, as part of the final audit of the 884 World Banks, the Committee of 300, the International Organic Agency, United Nations. And there is a link in the press release to the Infinite Statements audit, and that is on swissindo.news under the tab for Infinite Bank Statement. Thank you. The President of Indonesia, the Governor of Bank of Indonesia, the leaders of the 6 prime banks, the rest of the 884 World Banks have been invited to meet with un-swissindo representatives in each country to prepare these programs for the well-being of all people. un-swissindo will continue to work with the governments of Indonesia and the world undeterred until payments 1 through 11 are completed, bringing freedom and glorifying all pure beings, beginning with accepting their monthly basic income as the step forward in experiencing the reality of heaven on earth. Now, to download the M1 voucher, you would visit swissindo.news, and the M1 Master Bond Voucher English version is a PDF that's available there. And we have a copy of the, Jody, do we have a copy of the press release itself that people can download?
To screen share?
The press release that I just read, is that available to the public? Can we give them a link for that? Yes, a very important part, something I didn't mention, is that Mr. Sugi, his title is King of Kings, and that throws a trigger for a lot of us, especially here in the Bible Belt. It's a different kind of king. He's a servant king. He's not the kind of king that you worship and and bowed his feet and that sort of thing. Servant kings. Jody, why don't you speak to that? You researched it. Let's hear what your research says.
Oh, about the servant kings?
Yes, it's very interesting.
Yes, it is. I don't know if I can do it off the cuff. I have a little write-up that I could reference because for the audience members that are listening, one of the things I've found really interesting since getting into Swissindo are some of the cultural aspects that we aren't accustomed to in the U.S. And I guess depending on your exposure to other parts of the world, you may be more or less comfortable with some of these different customs. But what I found out with the servant kings is there's, I think most of us have only been exposed to the idea of kings in terms of like kings in a serfdom, where you have all these people that sort of work for the king and the king has all the riches and, the rest of the people are kind of, kind of in the not greatest position. But the servant king, it was a complete flip of the whole concept. And you can actually look this up. This concept is understood in Southeast Asia. I can't quote anything because it was almost a year ago now that I was researching this. But the idea of the servant king is a complete flip of what a regular king is that a servant king agrees that he's on equal par with everyone else and he is there to serve. So it isn't about taking advantage of the people at all. He is one with the people and wants to support them. And I would say M1 is actually doing that. He has devoted his life to this mission and is doing all he can to make sure that the trust that he does his job as trustee of the trust and that this gets delivered to humanity. And that as these things roll out, that's what this is happening. A lot of people wonder why it hasn't happened faster, but there are really a lot of moving pieces to make this go. So it's super exciting that we're able to do this webinar and actually say, hey, this is happening. The DBLC already came out a year ago. There are these bits and pieces happening. It's moving forward. So it's not about, is this real? It's about the timeline and when that can go. Because actually the M1 voucher, which Susan was just reading about, that was ready a year ago. But we needed a lot of things to be in place to make sure that all was safe and that it was really, all the pieces were prepared, whatever those are, because honestly, that's not my place to know. That's what M1 is for.
It's funny that you, how you talk about a servant king. That's really the way that all of our leaders were always meant to be. It was always meant to be that way. So I can't wait till it goes back to that someday, because we certainly don't have, I don't know if I can say we don't have servant leaders nowadays, but we sure don't have enough. So yeah. Servant leader is a very special thing, and it should be a lot more common.
Yes, and one thing that we're discovering now is that and it's a biblical concept. It's written in the Bible that when you humble yourself, you wind up elevated. So, and that's, I think a lot of us within Swissindo have experienced the same thing, where we've been through humility training the past couple of years, getting ready for the mission. But also one thing that I wanted to mention is that in the past, whenever a country has eliminated the U.S. dollar, somebody fascinating. So our safety and the safety of the mission and the safety of the people that are implementing this mission has been paramount for every step that he takes is making sure that we're safe, that we're all safe, that his delegates are safe, that the people that are of the world. Safety is paramount concern. Also, down in the chat, Kim Marie posted links, and because people hearing the video later on won't be able to see the chat, I want to mention that here at swissindo.news, you can get a copy of the press release that we were just reading from, and you can also download the M1 voucher. And India posted the Infinite Audits account audit that is also at Swissindo. It's Infinite Bank Statement 1.pdf. Those things are available on our website. All right. Ron, were you speaking?
No, I was not.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Not sure.
I was talking. I do a lot of that.
No. Go ahead. This is a good time, since you said my name, to chime in really quick. For those of you guys, you've probably seen, and I told you earlier that that I put up, my link in chat for donations. I just wanted to make sure you understood that un-swissindo does not accept donations. That's not what they're about. It's not what I'm about either, money. I just share my link to my PayPal donations because people like to help me out, and it really does help, because advertising this stuff and doing all the social media and the $500 a year it takes to for Webinar Jam, this software, all that stuff costs me money, and people like to help, and I really appreciate it. So anyway, just want to let you guys know that the donation link has nothing to do with un-swissindo. They do not accept donations. Okay, so go ahead, Susan or Jody, whoever was starting to talk next.
Okay, well, what I wanted to do was, we haven't really touched on more than the press release so far. So I thought I would just talk a little bit about the M1 voucher itself, what the Indonesians are looking at right now, and ultimately, whoops, I just threw my pen. Ultimately, what will roll out to the world. Just to give, I'm not going to do another screen share again. I don't know if that's causing problems, or can I? Because I thought
I would try it. This software is meant to do it. Just it's just a video, you guys. Just everybody take a deep breath, relax. Really, there's nothing to be nervous about. It's just pretend like we're talking to each other, us three.
I don't care what happens.
Forget about that. There's millions of people watching us right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Not yet.
I wanted to share what this looks like, what the Indonesians are downloading and printing out right now. So I'm going to turn my screen share on.
Yep. If you have confidence in it, it shall work.
I am sure this is going to work.
There you go. There you go. We see it.
All right. Okay. So what has rolled out in Indonesia as of just a couple of days ago, this document is actually downloadable. It's free. All of these things are free. Nobody should ever think they have to pay for something from Swissindo. It's totally free. So this document they would download, and you can see the little rectangle that says photo, F-O-T-O. That's actually where they would put their photo. And then you want to put a thumbprint on the paper and also overlap the photo. That way nobody can exchange it out. And I kind of think of it, we didn't have this discussion, but I kind of think of it, like on a passport where this represents you. And this is that type of a document where it has your photo, you put your thumbprint on, nobody can swap that out then. And this is what they can actually take. I guess they take it to the bank. I need to read the instructions. But let me just go through what's listed as the instructions that have been released in Indonesia that people are, I wish I could share all the photos that are coming in right now in the rooms where we discuss that this is happening. It's crazy. There are so many people just gathering people together, printing these out, putting their photos in, getting totally ready for making this happen. So I just want to read you very briefly the instructions that are going out to everyone. For use of voucher M1, they should print it out on a particular kind of paper, which you can also receive from Swissindo officers. You write or type the required information on the voucher M1 that you've printed, attach a 3x4 color photograph, and then thumbprint part of the photo in black or blue ink. This is to avoid illegal replacement of your photo. The eligible receiver of the voucher M1 are those with citizen cards, and that was what Susan was speaking to in the press release, where it was mentioning there were some letters. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it's like an electronic ID and somebody I know has those letters. But this would, they'll figure it out, whatever it has to be in the different countries, because this is where you've got some things that are going to be just a little bit different. Like in the US, everybody has, social security cards or something like that. But then this, just to put this out the audience, one of the things that I've also been paying attention to are the people that are working with the homeless, who are actively trying to help them get IDs, because this is one of the things people will need to have. If you think about in other countries too, many other locations where people actually operate without IDs, and this will be needed in order to make all of this happen. So depending on the country you're in, whatever kind of ID is regarded as being, a legal ID or recognizable ID, that's something to keep in mind. So any people who are working with communities where they know that this is an issue, this is really something that we will need to address. So I just wanted to put that out there for anybody who's listening, because I know here in LA, I was listening to an interview with two girls who are very active helping the homeless. And one of the things they do is they offer the service of driving the homeless to the DMV and making sure that they get IDs and driving them back. Because one of the hurdles for the homeless is just getting there and making that happen. So anyway, that's just one little point, but something to keep in mind. Let's see. Okay.
Also, it's let's go ahead and point out that this voucher is we do have an English translation of the voucher, but it's not valid in the United States yet. It's not signed.
Right.
In Indonesia.
I don't hear Susan. Do you?
Voucher has been issued.
Okay.
There she goes. No, she's having some internet problems.
Okay.
Okay, Susan, we hear you again. Go ahead. Back up a couple sentences.
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay, just start over.
Okay. The Indonesian.
The last that we heard, you were talking about the DBLC for the U.S. is not legal yet, or something like that.
Right. No, not the DBLC. The M1 voucher that we're looking at on the screen. Yes, that is not valid in the States yet. It is valid and actionable in Indonesia, but they're not actioning it yet. What they're doing is they're distributing it. You can go and if you live in Indonesia, you can go print it out. You can affix your passport photo to it, put your thumbprint on there so that it's valid and it's a legal document, and then wait for further instructions from M1. Now, M1 is not going to give us instructions to go do anything like have a violent protest or anything like that. It'll probably be where everyone goes to the people of Indonesia are sharing as many M1 vouchers as they can to the public every day since the voucher was released 4 days ago. They're very excited about it, and we can assist them by sharing the great news. And y'all, this is great news. This is massive, massive progress. And the Indonesian people they're doing so much to make this whole thing break loose happen. And we really need to show our support for them. I am the freedom of Indonesia means freedom for the whole world. Thank you, Ani. I got tongue tied on that one.
If I could just jump in here, maybe I want to speak to the audience for a second, because I know as someone having come to Swissindo, and I've had a lot of time to take this information in over a long period of time. So we're giving a lot of information now specifically on the M1 voucher, but one of the things that we really want to convey to people is there are multiple parts that apply to each and every person. So when we talked about the DBLC last week, that was specifically debt relief. What we're talking about right now is the M1 voucher. This is specifically abundance for you, which talks about a monthly stipend, and we can get into that in a little bit. And then there's another piece to it, which is actually a trust that will be for each and every person as well. So we want people to understand what these different parts are, because one is specifically debt relief, one is specifically a monthly stipend. And we know this gets complicated, and sometimes because we talk about this stuff all the time, I'm sure we forget bits and pieces that maybe help make it clearer for everyone else. But that's what we have Ron here for. He helps us keep a sense of what we haven't been clear about. But we were really hoping to touch on both the M1 voucher today and the DBLC to give you a little more clarity on both those things. So I don't know how much time Ron has established for us, but we're coming up on the hour. So Ron,
we've got about 10 minutes left, because if we go too long on this video,
okay.
For people, the majority of people watch this video later. We have maybe 50 people live right now watching us, but we have about 500 views of this video within 1 or 2 weeks. So the majority of people watch it later, and I find if we go too far over an hour, it's just too much for them because there's not a lot of time in the day for any of us, right? So
that makes sense.
So let's go about another 10 minutes, and then we can do it again.
Jody,
I'll
if you don't
invite you guys back in 2 weeks if you would like to come back. We can continue to do this until all the information is out there. Then after that, we'll come back once a month and update everybody. Sound good?
Okay. And what was Susan saying?
I was going to ask you if I could touch on what we talked about for the success stories.
Oh, right.
I'm going to keep it just nothing specific. I guess as specific as we can get. We're defining a success not as getting a statement back from the.
One second. Make sure we're switching topics, because this is the M1 voucher, and we're switching to the DBLC topic then. Right?
Okay, so yes, I'm talking about the DBLC. We spoke at length about the DBLC last week, our last webinar, and that's for debt burden liberation certificate. You can download that at swissindo.news. They have an English version. In any other country you live in, there's also a translation for your country as well. So what we're doing is we're defining a success not as the bank sending you a statement with a zero balance, but as the bank stopping their collection efforts against you. We've had several successes that are defined as collection efforts being halted. We've also had in Indonesia, now remember they're further along in the process. In Indonesia, we have had homes taken off the auction block whenever the family submitted the DBLC. And I'd like to read Ani Forrest's comment. Basically, everyone is wanting what un-swissindo is offering: debt burden liberation, income, project funding, country and bank quotas, but everyone is waiting for proof or evidence. So when Indonesia is receiving basic income, the whole world will know and see that they can also receive it. Ani, I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much for that. So that's why we're calling Indonesia the lighthouse of the world, because everything is going to break loose first in Indonesia. It was designed that way. And it's not like Indonesia is some little blip on the map somewhere. 90% of the wealth of the world and most of the population of the world lives in Indonesia. How many different island countries are in Indonesia, Ani? Can you put that in the chat? Indonesia covers a huge amount of land and people, 34 provinces, and that's like
thousands of islands.
Yeah, there are thousands of islands. India, okay. India just posted repossessed property has also been returned to the owners in many instances in Indonesia. And that started with the scooters. The financiers were coming and repossessing their little motorcycles while the people were at work. And now they're having to give those back, and their homes and stuff like that. Loads of banks have not even asked for payments and collection for a year. Now, remember, what's the date on the DBLC? The effective date of the DBLC is February 6, 2016. Where are we at now? We have passed the 1 year mark, and there are banks that have not been collecting debt payments on mortgages for a year. So,
right. Great.
Oh, I'm sorry. The M1 voucher in Indonesia is valid for all countries. I'm sorry. And
the DBLC is valid in the U.S. right now. Is that right? DBLC?
It is valid, and you can download it. You can submit it with your payment, and we're notifying the banks that we are aware of the gift that has been offered. Do not go into the banks and threaten to burn them down or anything like that, or cause a scene. You can make your payment and include the DBLC certificate with your payment. Okay, here's information on Indonesia. The Indonesian archipelago has 18,000 islands, and according to the CIA World Factbook, there are 17,508 islands. Can we in the U.S. submit DBLC to banks for debts before 2016? Jenny, yes, you can. That is exactly what you can do. And how to do that is to go to swissindo.news, download the DBLC, and when you make your payment, send the DBLC in with it. You can put a cover letter explaining to them that, that there may be a cover letter on swissindo.news. Is there? A pop-up window on the website.
Yeah, when you go to the website, within about 15 seconds, there's a pop-up that will come up right away, and it offers you 4 different languages. I think it's English, Lao, French, and something I don't remember.
Yeah, I downloaded mine there that way.
All right.
And I wanted to say something
Tammy,
too. Something you said earlier, Susan, about the hey, don't go in banks and threaten to burn them down or whatever. You guys, most of you that have been watching me for a while, over a year now, you know what I'm about. You know that I want everybody to unify. I want people to stop paying attention to the things out there that are separating us, and unify, and let's change this world and make it a better place. So positive change. So you guys hear me talk about often that the folks that are out there at colleges and in the streets that you see doing, ridiculous things, those things don't work. Breaking windows and picketing from negativity with negativity, that's not what we're about. That's not what the un-swissindo is about. And quite honestly, that's not what our creator is about either. So I don't know who those people are, where they come from, and if they're paid or what, but that is not how you get things done from love and good intentions. So what you're going to do is you're going to share this video with as many people as possible and get them to go down. Everybody go and download in your language the DBLC, and you just keep sending it in with your payments everywhere, and you keep going into the bank with it. You keep doing it until you see that day comes where the banks start accepting it. And that's how we need to do it. You just keep using it, keep throwing it in their face in a positive way, and just keep doing it. And someday you're going to see, sooner than later, you're going to see that what we're talking about and what Susan and Jody are talking about here, it's real and it's going to come true. And I know it for a fact. Go ahead, Susan.
Dan, you're absolutely right. Who knows who might really be doing that? We're giving these instructions and we're putting this video. Ron's going to share this video on YouTube. People can listen to it later. Anybody can listen to it later. All those people who do stuff and don't ever tell a soul about it, those people, they can download the DBLC and submit it with theirs. And I'm having events in community. We're talking to people one-on-one. Jody created a document called the DBLC at a glance. You can get that. You can get that at swissindo.news. I have laminated it and I use it to present to people to show them how the history and the validity of Swissindo, and it just makes sense. And many people providing information and chatter. Yes, that's what we're doing. we're going to let them know what exactly that we're aware of the gift that's been offered. And I'm telling you, this is happening. And I don't know who all else is submitting the DBLC, but I know that I submitted my DBLC and the few people that I've helped submit their DBLC. That's all I need to know, and that's all I need to worry about. What I need to worry about is the next person right in front of me who has a student loan knows how to download the DBLC and how to submit to their creditors. That's what I need to worry about. And that's all any of us can really do. And as long as we're doing that, then the job is going to get done. So
Yeah, if I could just speak to that a little bit too, I wanted to give people a sense of how they can participate with the DBLC. There are people that are uncomfortable with it, and there are some people that are just like, man, let's bring it on. So just find your comfort level with it. If you aren't comfortable submitting it, that's okay, but you can also talk to people. You can also inform the banks. You can print it out, take it in. We have that the decree from the Indonesian Supreme Court that shows this is legal and valid. So you are operating with some other. I'm sorry, Susan.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but Suzanne just put in the chat room. It's my understanding that although the money from our servant king is in the banks here in the U.S., but so far no real success stories here in the USA, and that is not true. We're defining success stories as when the banks stop collecting payments. There have been success stories here in the United States. Now, we don't have a zero bank balance on a statement that we can show people, but we are having success where collection efforts have stopped. The credit, when they put the ding on the your credit rating, that has stopped. The phone calls have stopped. Some things like that, and that's what we're defining as a success story.
I think part of
so, Suzanne,
if I could jump in, I think what we were hoping to convey is that we're looking for people pressure. So this is why I was talking about what is your comfort level in sharing this. There are a lot of people, honestly, who are so far in debt, they have stopped paying on their credit cards. They have stopped paying for certain things. They're perfect for this because they're already not paying. And this will actually stop that. They should make use of the DBLC at this point. So if you're not comfortable with it, then you can print it out, you can show it to people, you can show others, inform yourself about how this is working, at least get comfortable with the documents, because there will come a day when it's workable here. What we have to recognize is that in Indonesia, there was so much people pressure. They really made this happen. They flooded the banks. They flooded all the different institutions. They couldn't, did we just lose everybody? Anyway, in Indonesia, they really made this happen. This is why we're calling Indonesia the lighthouse. Indonesia is the way shower of what's going on. So there may not be the immediacy that you're looking for, but if you were to look over the last couple years, you would see magnificent changes from even just a year ago. There has been so much that has changed to now. So I would say, you know, if the money's there, yes, we aren't really going to talk about that. The point is the pieces are falling into place. It's not just one thing. And what we didn't get to discuss was actually what the bank's part in this is. So there's the part that the people play. And when you take in the DBLC and you apply that to a particular debt, the bank now has their own part, because this is not debt forgiveness. The bank will actually get paid for your debts ultimately by the trust. But the banks have to do their own part. So there's a whole network. You've got banks nested within banks. So the bank that you go to, they have to gather their DBLCs, their debt information, and that sort of has to be escalated to the next bank up and the next bank up, and eventually you get to the central banks. And this, you know, there's like all these pieces that have to happen. So what you see at a personal level isn't quite the whole story. And we tried really hard to get more in this webinar, and they always seem to end before we're ready, but hopefully that was a little helpful to people.
Yeah, is Susan still there with you, Jody?
I see a window coming back now.
I'm here, Ron, and I wanted to thank you so much for having these webinars with us and for allowing us to get this information out. And your viewers are the very first people that the newspapers don't even know about the M1 bonds. Your viewers are the very first getting this huge announcement. And so if back to the link, Ron's work requires the payment for the software and some other things when he does marketing and that sort of thing. So if you can support him with a donation, that goes directly to Ron Steele. That is not Swissindo asking you for a donation, and Swissindo will not ask you for a donation. We do not accept donations. However, Ron Steele and the work that he does, and he's made a link. It's paypal.me. I believe it's /Ron Steele. Is that right?
Yeah, paypal.me /Ron Steele, RONSTEELE. most of my folks know that. I put it up for all the different webinars, but yeah, I wanted to make sure that the un-swissindo folks know that everybody knows that the un-swissindo is not accepting donations. They're trying to give money, not take it.
I'm going to
But
stop.
I would encourage. I would encourage you, if you want to donate to further this mission, to donate to Ron Steele, and that is a way that you can help to further this mission. I'm going to mute now.
What else would
Thank you
guys
again.
like to, yeah, what else would you guys like to talk about today before we leave? Just to wrap it up, and maybe lead into 2 weeks from now. You guys will come back, confirm it for sure with the ladies after we end the webinar. But I'm pretty sure we'll be back in 2 weeks on Saturday, May 27th. And we'll kind of talk more about the un-swissindo and see if we can finish up. If not, we'll do it again another 2 weeks. After that, we'll come back with these ladies and give you updates. Go ahead, Jody. Would you like to end it with anything else?
Yeah. Well, nothing specific. I think I would like to thank the audience for putting up with us trying to assemble all this, because this is really the beginning of public forums. You know, we have the websites, we have videos, we have all kinds of that sort of thing, but we haven't really been public doing webinars or anything. And so maybe our ability to bring this information out isn't necessarily super smooth, but we're trying, and we're finding out the timelines and what we can actually get out. So we appreciate everyone who's showing up and who's listening and making an effort to understand, because that's really what's important. I absolutely adore people who ask questions, because that's what we need. We, you know, once people close the door on asking questions about it, then we're not going to get anywhere. But you can totally ask questions. There are a lot of answers depending on what you ask. So thank you so much to the audience that is showing up, and please tell other people.
One last thing, that Jody and I and India, we're open to do other interviews, but contact Honorable India Murkerson for interviews with Sino delegates, please.
And where can they contact India at for that? Should they go to Facebook, or should they go to a web page, or?
Her information is listed at swissindo.news. India, do you want to input, how do you prefer to be contacted to schedule interviews?
You can put a link here, India, if you'd like to. Go ahead and put a link here. There you go. And I'll go ahead and broadcast the message to everybody. So there you go. It's broadcasting.
There you go. So yeah, I put it in there so you can have it. And I've also managed to copy this chat. Let's hope I can paste it, and then you can share it with your viewers if you'd like. I'll send it to you.
All right. Thank
you
so
guys.
much, Ron.
So Jody and Susan and India, I'd like to really thank you ladies for being with us, and all your hard work that you're doing with the un-swissindo. And we're looking forward to hearing from you guys in the near future. We should be back in 2 weeks. I'll confirm that. Just you ladies stay in the webinar room, the private room here with me. Once I end the webinar, we'll have a quick chat. And my brothers and sisters, thank you guys for coming. Go ahead, Susan.
Honorable Ani Forrest has posted another message in the chat, and I'd like to read it, please, so that it gets made on the audio. It says, the DBLC is an excellent instrument to get us to our freedom until the M1 voucher is released in your country, which will resolve the DBLC automatically. So keep sending the DBLC out to your ranks. And that's her instruction from the World Council. That's Her Majesty Ani Forrest.
Yeah, that goes with what I was saying, you guys, earlier is please have trust and faith in this. You're part of the solution, and don't be part of the problem. So print out the DBLC and just don't be afraid. Just start sending it with all your bills to your banks. Choose your biggest bills first, your biggest creditors that you have to pay off, your biggest balances. Just keep resending it and resending it every month with your payment. go down and talk to your manager, turn it in, and have complete 100% confidence. And it's not going to work most likely the first time, the second time, or maybe the 10th time. But eventually, when enough of us do it, it's going to pressure them to change the ways that they're doing business in this country, in the banks, and those negative entities that are running them. We're going to push them out with our love, our kindness, and we're going to make this earth a better place. But we're going to do it from good intentions and the right place in our heart. Okay, so so you guys stay in the room with me, Susan, Jody, and everyone else. We will see you back May 27th, 2017 at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Central time, and 1 p.m. Eastern time. And the rest of you guys out in Europe and other countries, Asia, etc., I've got posted on my Facebook event site, which I'll put the link in right now real quick. Here's the link to the event site. That's to all my events. And every time I have a different event, I post it here. And there you go. And there is, if you go to that Facebook site, that's my event site, and read in the details part. There's going to be an about section and a details part. The details will show you everything everybody's posted. Susan and Jody's posted on there, and I think maybe India. But go to the about section and you can find your time zone. I listed a ton of them in there, like 40 different time zones for all you guys. Or just Google your time zone. What time is 10 a.m. Pacific time in, Australia, whatever your country is and your city, and Google will tell you your time zone, so you'll catch us live. If you can't catch us live, please go to YouTube and search Live the Enlightened Lifestyle, and you'll be able to see all of our recorded videos with un-swissindo there, and you'll be able to see my recorded videos also. So you guys, thanks so much again for coming, and please love, light, and unity. Do everything you can in your heart to think from love and good intentions, and do things with good intentions, and the world's going to slowly get to be a better place. So namaste, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you, Ron.